What is marketing? Wiki says that marketing is the process of communicating the value of a product or service to customers. This is a critical business function for attracting customers. You have to have different levels to be able to market. And now everything is system-based, IT-based. A lot of people or customers that I support do not understand the importance of your intellectual property or how to even use what they have to market. You need to have some type of value added that would make someone even be interested in using your company. Why should they buy from you? Are you solving a problem? Can you do it better? Can you cut costs? Or are you more efficient, effective, or easy to use? You need a strategy. You want to align your strategy for how you want to market in line with how you have your mission statement written on your business plan so that you can reach your goal. Wiki says, strategy is a high-level plan to achieve one or more of your goals under conditions of uncertainty. And these days, everything is uncertain, to including life. So you want to take your communication and you want to work it correctly to achieve your goal. And this capability statement is a major form of your communication. This will help you win a contract. So you're asking me, what is a capability statement? I'm glad you asked. A capability statement is your identity. It's a promotional or marketing statement about your business and your business's capabilities and skills. It advertises who your company is, what it does, and why you're the best company to be hired. It not only is required when dealing with the government, but also when seeking to work as a subcontractor for a company that is the prime contractor on a government contract. Even when you see a source is sought or an opportunity, primarily they ask for your capability to do the job. You submit the capability statement, and your capability statement will include a various level of past performance, but you have to make sure that it is within line with what it is that you are responding to. So the process for creating a capability statement is defining your core competencies, defining them, defining your competitive advantage, conduct your research on prospects, then you conduct your research on the incumbent and your competitors, and then you highlight your value added. So you can see with all of this that's required, submitting a proposal can be very costly. So you have to make sure that you actually want to submit a proposal on a solicitation that's out so that you won't waste time and money and then be rejected because you didn't meet all of the requirements.
Donna, this is Sandy. Back to the previous screen. What are you finding out of those 5 different things that you defined as part of the process are the most difficult for people to do when they are putting together their capability statement? I mean, what piece are they not?
I hear you. I would say the most difficult would be conducting the research on the prospect, being the agency, whoever is requesting your proposal. And the reason why it's the most difficult is because by me being on the inside, I have observed that the decisions are not actually made in the contracts office. The decisions are made by the program office. And generally, when they submit a requisition, they have a suggested source that they would like included. Or you are the incumbent and you have developed a relationship with the program manager, and they feel that you are like family and they don't want to lose their family members. So they skew the RFP, request for proposal, to reflect the capabilities and the past performance of the incumbent. So that makes the barrier to entry extremely high, which is why if you have an incumbent, and I'm speaking of number 4, if you have an incumbent that you know is either graduating out of being a small business, or if their performance is not the best, you would want to look at what they've done and do better than what they've done and propose how you can do it better, or any innovation that would make you more streamlined with the process. You could probably do it with less people. That would cause your bottom line to be less. That would give you an incentive. If you have an incumbent that does the job, they have good past performance, then you would want to solicit your company to them as a subcontractor, and then maybe they will accept you and you can get in the program and then develop your own past performance. The majority of the RFPs, the way that they skew out a small business is, yes, you've done the work. Yes, you have good past performance, but the dollar value of the contract that you have worked on is not as high as the one that they are soliciting. So in their mind, you're not going to be able to handle the requirement. But you have more people to do the work. So you should be able to perform on the same level that you did on the small contract. So the competitive part of it, just getting past the barrier to entry and getting in is the hardest part. People don't like change. And I fight with an evaluation board constantly that you are buying services, you are not buying people. And you can't live with these people, they go home to their family. So don't automatically assume that whoever is new cannot perform. They just don't want to take the time to relearn a new personality. That's what it's all about. I want to be peaceful in my crazy job, and I already know these personalities, good, bad, or indifferent. So I can handle that. I don't want to handle anything else new, because what's at home could be chaotic. Did I answer your question?
Yes, and also, Donna, thank you for that response. Also, another question came in. How does one get the intel on the incumbent to try to beat the incumbent?
Fedgov.com is where you get the information on where a contract is awarded, who was awarded the contract. You also want to go to the websites of the agencies that you are interested in proposing to. Go to those small business fairs where they have their list of requirements for the year. You can see what actions are going to be on the street what contracts that they already have in place. And if you missed it on the original award, create a tickler so when that contract is about to end, you can be prepared. Word of mouth helps a lot. This is a very small industry. The population for those that do federal contracts or that's a contracts person is very small. And so you can contact the contracting officer. They probably won't give you any information, but you can still contact them so that your name is in their memory bank when they see your paperwork come in. Modifications are public record on a contract.
Now, Donna, what about in the county or state government or local government in terms of finding out who incumbents might be? Who do you contact? Well, how do you navigate that process?
State and local government?
Yes.
I'm not actually sure if the state of Maryland, they should operate the same as federal as far as their requirements and looking at the list of opportunities that they have, contracts that are already in place per agency. You can contact the small business office for any of the state level agencies and the federal agencies. They are the ones that actually conduct the small business workshops, and they sit down with you and discuss your capability, which is why you need the capability statement in hand, because they hold them and try to see if they could fit you into one of the requirements that they have available. If they do not, they still maintain a file of capability statements, and they will include you in the solicitation process. They may send you an email saying you may be on the lookout for this solicitation coming out. That's within your wheelhouse, I'll say, wheelhouse. That's within your industry.
Okay.
Even as a contractor, a government person who was really not interested in talking to the general public had me at the small business fair representing his division with his capabilities, his opportunities. And I was actually interviewing other small businesses for what was required and maintain those capability statements. So every agency posts their forecast for the year, and you marry up what it is that they plan on soliciting for with your capability.
Okay, great. So in terms of, I think people want to see who are their competitors, who got the contract prior. How do they find that out?
You submit a FOIA request. They may or may not answer the FOIA request, but you still request a FOIA request for information. But like I said, you could go to FedGov, you could go to they have changed it now from FedBizOps to BetaSAM, beta.sam. SAM. And in there is where you put the NAICS codes that's a part of your capability statement. And that determines the industry that you can provide your service to. You know, we're getting away from the presentation, all right? But
yeah, so just go ahead and keep moving. And that's great. And so maybe we can
no,
provide.
I'm gonna finish my statement and I'm gonna keep it moving because
Sure,
NAICS
sure.
code is a part of the capability statement. But when you're searching, you put in the NAICS codes, and if someone has been awarded a contract, you can search by agency or you could search by NAICS codes. And when a company is awarded a contract, they have to post it. You could provide a proposal and not win, and they will still inform you of who was awarded the contract. So.
And this is, excuse me, Donna, this is Deborah Carter. Presentation is going very well, but I just wanted to chime in and say in terms of the county, they normally post the forecast of opportunities on the website of the various agencies, depending on if it's Maryland Department of Public Works and Transportation, I'm sorry, as far as the county is concerned, DPW&T, Department of Public Works and Transportation, for example, or Department of Environment, they will post the forecast. But normally things have been a little different with the county due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and therefore we've had an emergency procurement forecast posted with the Office of Central Services, but normally that's how it's done in the county.
Okay.
Thank you, Deborah.
So to define your core competencies on your capability statement, you want to answer the following questions. What do you do and how well do you do it? What is your specialty? And be very specific. So you don't want to submit a dissertation, but you want to make sure that you don't leave anything out as far as services that you provide. So you have contracting competitive advantages if you are a small business, a woman-owned business, or a veteran-owned business. You want to include that as well. And then any past performance that you have, you want to include that as well. You can just list the title of the contract and the agency. Whatever contract vehicles that you have that an agency could take advantage of, being you have a GSA schedule, or you on IT 70, that's an old one. If you're a member of FedRAMP or any other contract, GWAC, government-wide acquisition contracts, where all the agencies can grant you a task order, or Maryland DOT, if you are 8A, which are certifications, if you're MDOT certified, you want to put all of that on there. So your prospect, pick an agency that you want to work for. You know, it's amazing how much information you can get off of Google. You can locate opportunities, contracts to submit your proposal on. You can Google the agency and then find the name of the director of the program that you are trying to support. Remember, I said that the program office makes the decision. And that's because they sit on the panel and look at all the proposals and decide who it is that they feel can do the job. So if you have already done your research on that program, you have 2 steps forward from someone else that's just submitting in a proposal and they don't know anything about the environment. That's key. I would like to have a multi-million-dollar contract. I'm not sure if I want to deal with that headache because of the caustic environment, if you understand what I'm saying. So what does your prospect or your agency buy? When do they buy it? How much do they buy? How do they buy it? And who is buying? And all of that is on the forecast. So fiscal years will end on September the 30th. The requirement for submitting your information for your new funding for the next fiscal year is generally due by August the 30th. They may even have, I've experienced small business fairs during the middle of the fiscal year crunch in September with all of the forecast for after October 1 of what they plan to purchase.
Donna, this is Sandy. Do you find that, I know the county government's fiscal year starts July 1. Do you find that most governments have a rush during their fiscal, at the end of the fiscal year or beginning? When is a good time to start prospecting and looking for opportunities?
You don't want to wait until the end of the fiscal year. You plan. Just like they have a forecast, you plan to, you do all your research up front of where you want to actually be placed. Where do you want to get work? And then you start that in like October 1. And then you do all your communicating, you do all your vetting of the different agencies. It gets hot in July. As a contracts person, I am not allowed to take any vacation from July through September 30. And it's not so much that there's so much spending going on. It has to do with how the funding is released, how they deobligate contracts that still have money on it all during the year, and then they dump a lot of money so they don't lose it around May and June. You rush and put a solicitation on the street. You have to give them at least 90 days from the time it's on the street till they respond, until you vet the capability and then do the award. So it gets hot in July. Depending on the dollar value of how they are trying to award, you may get contacted by an agency just based on your capability, and they'll ask you for a proposal. If it's under $125,000, they can just contact you and give you a contract if you meet the requirement. You don't even have to compete. So you want to be on your toes from July through September. And especially if you have an opportunity like a GSA contract or a MDOT contract where all the agencies have to spend their money, they can give you a task order. They can contact you and say, give me a proposal on this. So yes, that would be the time not to do the research, but to be ready. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So this guy is just feeling his way in the dark. This guy just submits a proposal without any knowledge of the agency or anything. He just saw that a solicitation popped up and he submitted a proposal. And once they looked at it, they could see that he didn't know the mission, he didn't understand the requirement, and he was not considered. So, you know, you check the agency website, you can see what's going on there. You can also get names, phone numbers, email addresses of the program managers that are running the area that you're trying to get in. They have press releases, they have a mailing list. Believe it or not, the small business offices still maintain a mailing list. And they do that with your capability statement. Because if it's a hard requirement that they're having difficulty with good performance, they will go to the capability statements and they will send out a sources sought. And if you are interested, you respond. Even if it doesn't work out, they have your name and your contact information and they have your capabilities. You can go to the government website. Now, the first one that says website could be the incumbent's website. So you can see who they have contracts with. And looking at the dates of the awards, you can tell when the contract is going to end. Most are 1-year base, 4-year options. If it's an IT contract, it could be a 2-year base with a 5-year option, because IT requirements are very difficult to award and they want to get as much performance out of that contract that they can get. And then you can submit your FOIA request to the FOIA specialist, and they should respond within a timely manner. So as soon as you see on a forecast that there is an opportunity that you would be interested in, if you don't know anything about the incumbent or the contract, you want to put in a FOIA request immediately, because they're not going to respond as quickly as you would like. But you will at least get the information before the contract is awarded. Now, most of it will be redacted, but you could at least see labor categories, what the requirements are, what the, you want to compare this when you actually get the solicitation, compare the original to the one that you get that's new. Most times the requirements don't change unless there has been a significant change in the industry, change in the process, and modifications to the incumbent's contract to where they have to put those changes in. But what I've seen is that the program office would just regurgitate the same statement of work that they had originally, knowing that there have been changes. And I would have to pull teeth to get the changes or pull it out of the modifications and insert it myself. So here, conducting research on your prospect for this one would be the incumbent. If they do not have good performance, or if they are going out because they have graduated out of a program, you want to step up and present your capability to catch them before they have to go away. So you would create a teaming agreement, and you would be the prime and they would be the sub. And when you submit your proposal, you would be able to take advantage and benefit from their past performance, if it's good past performance, if you're teaming with them.
So Donna, this is Sandy. So is it, do you see that people will share their capabilities statements with somebody they want to team with? Is that a good approach? If you see somebody who's had that contract for a while and you think you might be a good partner, what would be the best approach? I mean, sending them your capability statement first, or what do you recommend?
I would recommend finding out who is the decision maker, who is the program manager for that contract. I would contact them first and let them know that I'm making myself available to be the prime on this. I have experience performing these services, and I see that you are already there as the incumbent. Let's form a teaming agreement so that your people can stay and perform. Now, with the teaming agreement, I would have 51% of the contract. The incumbent would have 49% of the contract. But for the major line items on the contract where the people are very important to the success of the contract, they get to stay. The program office gets to keep their family, and it's a win-win. So I would start with contacting the company. You can look on there and see whoever is in charge, whoever's the VP or whoever's in charge of business development. That's who you start with, because they're the ones that are marketing the company to get contracts. And so I would start there. Okay? You got another question?
Nope, Donna, thank you.
So you present your solution to the agency or the incumbent. And your solution is to solve their problems or their needs. And be specific. So on my capability statement, I'm speaking to the fact that there's not enough seasoned employees or seasoned government people to be able to perform at the speed that they needed. When I started contracts, my first training was a whole month, and it was all about contracts, all about finance. And now it's because they need people in the office to work. They get 2 weeks. Like, you're still trying to learn the names of the instructors and the names of the acronyms in 2 weeks. You don't know how to do contracts like that. So see where there is a hole, see where there is a crack, and submit your solution to what needs to be done. Solve their problem of not having informational contract specialists doing the work. They have IT people that don't know how to run the system. And be specific. So it's almost the same thing about your competitor as far as conducting your research. On your agency, you do the same thing, as I said, on your competitors. I know it's time consuming.
So Donna, is this the advice you're giving apply to like local county government, state government, all types of opportunities that you're going after,
Yes,
advice apply?
everything, to include being a subcontractor to another small business or to another large business in the industry. That's where you can also glean some past performance having to do with services that are being provided. You could be providing, like, I provide proposal writing and identification of partners to other businesses. But I'm not in the government space doing that. I'm not applying for a contract. I'm helping them get further down the road. So a contract is a contract. I know that I say government, federal government a lot, but because I have so much experience with that, it's in my vernacular. It's a little hard to get away from that. And I apologize because I know this is Prince George's County, and a lot of you probably are providing or looking for contracts within the area under Prince George's County. I'm not ignoring that. So when I say government, I mean all government, because most of the processes are the same. But there's more opportunity just supporting the industry, private industry. They need assistance all the time. And they are a little more user-friendly than some of these agencies because they have requirements and they need support with their requirements, and they can sub to whomever they want. Some of the solicitations that are out, if you have a subcontract that you plan on awarding to do this work, you have to submit a subcontracting plan so that the agency will know who you plan on working with and what their capabilities are. But there's a caveat to that because not everyone is ethical. So you have to make sure that you get your 49% as a subcontractor. You have to make sure that they grant you and that they adhere to the agreement, because I get calls all the time from subs that are not getting work. And agencies and the government have no contract with the subcontractor. And so you're at the mercy of the prime, and you may have to be legative to make sure that they treat you right, but you'll still have your past performance of working with the contractor for whatever level of sub work that they grant you. I know that sounds terrible. And unfortunately, people are just straight greedy. I can't say it any other way. So you need to vet who it is that you want to do business with, to include what reputation do they have in the industry, because you don't want to be associated with anything that's greasy, because birds of a feather flock together. Their past performance could be a blemish on your reputation in the industry. That was a sidebar. So you want to highlight how you are value added. What makes you so special? What can your service or product do better than what's already out there? Can it be your relationship with the agency, your relationship with the industry, your ethical business process and procedure? Like, can you be trusted? Give them a reason to award you a contract. The statement says, we awarded a contract to agency or or business A because, and when you don't win, they will tell you. They awarded the contract to this company because their bottom line was better. Their innovation was better. So give them a reason to award one to you. Your capability statement is a live document. It's always moving. It's always in revision. Because the more contracts you get, the more experience you get, you want to put that on there. So your core competencies that you're defining could change based on the awards that you receive, the mission that you're supporting, your competitive advantage. You want to define that. You want to conduct your research on your prospects, conduct your research on your incumbents and your competitors, and then highlight your value added. These are the 5 steps. And they're not etched in stone because as time moves on and the industry changes and the more innovation that you have and the more experience that you have, that will change the document. So are there any further questions about marketing?
Donna, a question that somebody had earlier, and I think you kind of covered it. How do you define a prime to offer your services as a subcontractor? And I think you kind of highlighted and went over that earlier. I don't know if you want to add any more.
Look at the agency website or look at contracts that have been awarded to the agency. Find who the incumbent is and approach the company, specifically the person in charge of business development. You want to email because their emails are always posted and their phone numbers too. Contact them, let them know what it is as to why you are contacting them. You're interested in being a strategic partner or a performing or creating a memorandum of understanding or agreement, or you want to be a teaming partner for the renewal of the contract. Because if you're a prime and your time is up, you're not going to go away quietly unless you're not performing and they're just kicking you out. So they will entertain conversations about staying in. They may not have 100%, but they'll be good with 49 because they still have revenue coming in. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Was that it?
Yes, thank you.
So now we're going to get into the specific areas of the capability statement. I've already stated that you need to be direct and simple to the point. Contract specialists have to read so much information all the time that you have to make it clear so that they can get an understanding within the first 3 minutes, or they'll put it down. You can use 1 page. Now, I'm speaking now about the components. So Your capability statement is your one-page company resume. It needs to be easy to read with the format. You need to highlight your expertise and make it easy for them to contact you. You can have your logo, company contact information, and your tagline. My tagline is performance, par, excellence, because the name is Arete. You want to include your DUNS number, which is your financial number associated with SAM or whatever agency is handling your government, state, local government level financial system. The DUNS number is what the contracts office uses to make sure that you get paid. Your tax ID number, your industry codes, which is your NAICS codes, you want to list them all. Your business designation, are you incorporated? Are you a LLC? Are you a sole source? Sole proprietor? I got sole source on my mind. I've been praying about a sole source award. Y'all please excuse me. But that's when you don't have to compete. They just give you one. I'm just going to throw that out there. May the Lord give you one too. Amen. Your business designation with your LLC, your contract vehicles. What do you have that they could attach to give you an award? I've stated earlier, if you're on a GSA schedule, if you have MDOT, if you have any other government-wide acquisition contract, if you, let me see, they don't give you contracts anymore. But you know what I mean. I had SBA on my mind, and years ago, SBA, if you were given a certification, they would grant you an award to get you started. They have stopped that. You want to include your government past performance, any certifications that you have. ISO is for the IT people. Any other certifications like DAWIA, Defense Acquisition Workforce Information Act for those that do acquisitions. If you have any security clearances, being business clearances, if you have a personal security clearance, there is a way to expand your personal clearance to a business level clearance. And I'll just tell you that it's through a program through NASA. I have another workshop that I'm doing on how to get a government contract, and I'll go greater in depth with that. I believe it's on Monday.
Okay, Donna, we have a few questions coming through that people would like to know. Someone asked, what should you do if you don't have past performance?
You do have past performance, you're just not looking at it from the right angle. You have a job. Are you working in the industry that your business is going to perform in? If you did it once, you have experience. If you do it twice, you're proficient. So even though you work for an agency or another company, you're a budget analyst, you're handling money, you're talking to the general public, you know about the process, All of that information can be put on your capability statement because the work was actually performed by you. If you have any accolades from performing as an employee now, your accolade could be a part of your past performance regarding the good performance that you have done. So I can't imagine, and I'm just saying this, I did a lot of grunt work. I came up the rough side of the mountain doing all the grunt work from the specialists that didn't want to do the work. And I complained for about 5 minutes, but by doing all that grunt work, I learned how to do everything so that when I was sent to an agency, I had to tuck and roll, as you say. I was at the State Department. I was hired to be the director over a new division. I was hired to head up a new division. I was supposed to hire 3 people. During the clearance phase, the director got a new position. And when I came on board, I was told that I would be the acting director until that position was filled. And they escorted me into a conference room that had 30 people. 30 people. And he said, "This is your staff. This is Donna Whitfield, your new boss." And he walked out. So I had to hit the ground running. All of those past experiences that I had prior to coming there, good, bad, and ugly, helped me to maintain that position. All that grunt work that I did helped me to get them to pass an IG audit because they had failed miserably prior to that. So don't sweat the small stuff. The stuff that you're doing now that you consider to be mundane, that you want to do better, you want to have your own, that's what motivated me. I came out because I was tired of being mistreated. Even though I was a director, there were no infractions, my staff was happy, I was still treated by management, upper management, as a Black girl. And one day my mentality just wouldn't take it. And I left and I started my business and I've been doing it ever since. But it was all of those hard experiences that I considered to be hard at the time helped me be able to maneuver in another area. I've done construction contracts. I've had things blow up, literally blow up on the naval base because contractors were performing, but the program office didn't have enough sense to ask for new as-built. You installing electrical wiring and you're not asking for a new as-built or the schematic after they finish. That should have been one of the final documents. So then when another contractor came in, they cut into the wall, cut right into the electrical wire, and it blew up underground. Like, how do you do that? So those type of things, you want to keep all of that stuff in the back of your mind. If you could get past that, if you could do this, you have knowledge of this, even though it's not in your job description, you still have the knowledge of. So when you get the opportunity to submit your capability and your past experience, it's still your experience. So you're never completely empty. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, Donna, that was great. A few more questions. Someone asked about the TIN and your EIN number for businesses. Is this pretty much the same?
Yes. Employee identification number and your tax identification number for your business are the same.
Okay, great. And also, what are some steps, if you are want to go after some small contracts that are usually awarded, are they without all the extra steps? Are there any ways to garner some of those smaller contracts where you don't have to go through a lot of the steps for the larger awards and contracts?
It's all based by dollar value. It may have been raised to 150. Right now, I'm supporting a particular program where the requirements are totally different. And their fiscal year is totally different as well. But I believe they have raised the simplified acquisition level to 150. If you want some of those smaller dollar value contracts, if you have products, you would probably do very well with products. And if you're doing services, what you would do for both, either services or products, still submit your capability statement, submit it to the small business office, and you want to submit the email, the cold call email with your capabilities to the contracting officer in that agency.
Now, Donna, is this somewhere listed? I know several governments have different level of awards and the threshold as to what the requirements are as the award amounts go up. Is there anywhere where in terms of finding that information that is listed so that we can know what's the threshold on all those requirements when applying for different contracts?
There are seminars that are conducted for small businesses at the Small Business Administration. There are other agency level seminars for how to conduct business with them. The small business fairs can also give you that information. They have handouts. You can Google it. You can go to Defense Acquisition University.com. And there should be a slideshow on there of the different thresholds. But when you do your research and you go to the agency where you want to get the contract from, that's where you can find who the contracting officer is for each division or for contracts, period, and submit your email and attach your capability statement. And then you can give them a call to follow up.
Okay, great.
Early in the morning, because around 10-ish, most times if they don't recognize the number, they won't answer. I know that's terrible to say, and it's different depending on what time of year it is as well. So you don't want to do that in July, August, and September. You want to do that before the requirements actually hit the street.
Oh, thank you, Donna.
Now, as I said, your capability statement is a evolving document. So you don't want to have your statement all about finance and your capability is all about finance, if what you're trying to do is program management or IT work. You want to highlight what you do for IT, what you've done with innovation or under your past performance. You want to highlight any accolade or anything that you've gotten. And they come in different formats. Some of them are structured to be foldable, but you can leave it behind, just like when I sat at the table and all the other small businesses came up with their capability statement. They left it with me like a brochure. And then we reviewed it when we got back to the office. At the time, I was supporting the OCFO for the Department of Labor. And they were in the process of soliciting for a new system to maintain people's personal data and financial data. And it was on the forecast. So anyone that had any type of IT experience having to do with databases and servers of pertinent information was in line. And then add whatever new capability that you have or new contract award that you get to your website. Put your capabilities on your website. It doesn't have to be pop up in your face capability. It is click here to download our capability statement.
Now, Donna, this is Sandy. Should people have different variations of the capability statement, or should they try to summarize their top qualities on that one capability statement?
You can summarize the different services that you provide, and it will be supported by the NAICS codes that you put on there. That's imperative that you put the NAICS codes on there. If you've gotten enough experience to where you can diversify your divisions, and you have a lot of experience performing program management, and you also have experience doing contracts management, you can make the decision to split them up. Or you can put them all on one if you want to keep it as a one pager. But if you have so much past performance, so many different capabilities that it looks busy for one page, I would suggest breaking them up. It needs to be easy to read and easy to understand. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So now what you're going to do? You've done your research. You got your capability statement, or at least the fundamentals of. Now you're ready to make some calls. You're ready to send some cold call emails. And that shaking the hand is thank you very much for my contract. So it's extremely competitive. And I hate to say this, but I have observed contracting officers who are not ethical. And they will give information, intel, they will give them information so that their friends can win the contract, and their friends will break them off a piece of change. I don't participate in that type of activity. Not everyone is like that, but these are the times that we're in. He was not successful, by the way. When I worked for Navy, I had a colleague who was made to give a contract to a vendor who was not qualified. She was coerced. She was threatened to give this man this contract. And the contractor and the director ended up in the same prison. They came into the office and clamped his butt and walked him out in front of everybody. So what you do comes back to you. So just take the high road. It's competitive, which is why you're supposed to put in your statement how you are better, how you're more innovative, how you can save the money in your presentation, I'm saying. And you want to put this in your prospectus as well. Your prospectus should mirror your capability statement. So if you're being considered for an award, especially if it's a source selection, and it gets down to the last three, if the agency feels that they need to see more, they will call you in and they will ask you to do a presentation of your capability to perform this work. The contracts people call it the pony show, because you show up suited and booted, you got your wonderful PowerPoint presentation, and you answer all the questions. And what they're looking for is nonverbal communication. They ask you a question. If you look away, I don't know if he's telling me the truth. If you look nervous, and they're always going to outnumber you, so you're going to have to man up. You might come with your program manager and one other representative, whoever is handling your business development. That should be your team. You got 3 people at the table, they'll have 5 or 6. Just for intimidation purposes. So you got your tools, you got your PowerPoint presentation, you answered the questions. At that point, when they determine that you're qualified, it's going to be all about the bottom line at that point. Good luck.
Donna, a question. If you sense that there's some corruption involved, what is the process for alerting the contract officer, the agency? Is there anything in writing in terms of process?
Yes, there should be at the agency's website. You can contact information from the small business representative. You can also just Google how to file a protest. You can file a protest before the contract is awarded if you see that something's not right. And that gets sent to the legal office in the contracts division, or whoever handles their legal processes or their legal actions for the agency. You submit a grievance, you submit the protest. If you submit it at the award level, that stops everything until they get that straight. But you gotta make sure you got your proof. You can't just be hearsay. It's got to be something like they submit the list of questions, or you submit a question. They respond to the questions with everyone else. If they need more clarification to determine the competitive range, the CO, contracting officer, will submit you directly another email asking you for information. If he does not relay that information so that it appears that you complied and you responded, when he submits documentation to the panel for review and it looks like you just blew him off, that could be a problem. if you are notified that you were not being considered because you did not respond to number 7, 8, and 9 as instructed, and you did, file a protest. They will have to give you the opportunity to resubmit it, especially when you know you did.
So Donna, does it hurt if you file a protest and you've been identified as a firm to file a protest? Will that harm you in going after future contract opportunities?
No. Unfortunately, filing a protest is the last step for every contract that has been awarded, because the incumbents do not want to leave. So they will file a protest just so they can stay longer. Unfortunately, protests are still taken seriously. Originally, when I started contracts, if you filed a protest, oh my God, that was the end of the world. And depending on where you file, if you file it at the agency level, they can get it done within about 30 days. If you file it at the court level, the agency will have to submit all the documentation regarding the contract, the solicitation, the responses. They will have to submit 5 copies of all that data for it to be reviewed. So no, it's all about self-perseverance. If you feel that you were slighted or you were discriminated against in some way, you want to make sure that you have that infraction that you're speaking of documented some kind of way so that it could be verified. But filing a protest in your own behalf is just showing them that you are serious about this work. You are serious about your business, and you are serious about being treated fairly. Did I answer your question?
Yep, that answers it. Thank you. There was another question on the security clearance section. If you are very small, how do you get a security clearance?
There is a program through NASA. Is that NASA? Girl, I'm talking to myself as I'm talking to you. Oh God, my mind is not working. I think my coffee might be wearing off.
Donna, this is something maybe you can send maybe on a resource list or something. We can follow up later after the presentation.
Yes, because it's right there off of the BW Parkway, their Intel, NSA, I'm sorry, not NASA, NSA, National Security Agency, thank you, Lord, has a program that they will walk you through. They will sponsor you for your clearance, and they'll walk you through the whole process of what's required to be awarded a facility security clearance. They will sponsor you. And at that point, you will be able to solicit to other companies that are within the Intel community and other solicitations that require a security clearance. So they will sponsor you. What I mentioned before was if you were working for an agency or a company that required a security clearance, that is the process that you would take to expand your clearance that's already in the system to a facility security clearance. So when a solicitation requires a secret clearance or a top secret clearance, you can expand it through NSA. And then you would be able to be considered because if you're not already in the system, or if your company needs to be sponsored by the agency to get a facility security clearance, the time that it takes to do that takes so long. You may get overlooked, or you may be out of consideration because they need someone working right then. And they will not grant you an interim facility security clearance because your clearance covers your employees. And they won't allow you on site without a clearance, which is why it's important to have NSA sponsor you, because then they can attach that and bring you on board. That one did that answer the question?
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
So these are the people that you contact. Who is buying? Look at the solicitations that are out. This is how people are finding me. Like, I was in this office as a consultant where I am now for 2 weeks. On the third week, I started getting hit with all of these emails because somehow they found out that I was a contract specialist working in this office. I didn't have a solicitation on the street yet, but they were able to look some kind of way at the agency level, agency website, and they saw me. You want to send emails to the contracting officer, to anyone that could see that you are available and you can perform. The end users being whoever is receiving the services, that would be the director of whatever division that the contract is working for. You find that out from doing your research. Contracting officers, like I said, program managers, they are very important. And any partners that are affiliated with who's doing the work. Make your email brief. Make sure that you're stating that you're adding value in some way, and request a meeting. So when you get to the meeting, you want to have a goal. You want to have a demo or slideshow or video. You want to ask about the incumbent. How could you contact them? At least just give them the name, if they can just give you the name. And then ask them what would be your next steps to do business with them. Small business representatives for the agency are there to help you because you are a small business. They are supposed to take your call. They are supposed to schedule a meeting with you, sit down, and let you know what's going on with the agency. How can you get in? What requirements do they have that they feel that you could perform? And then you want to go to the networking events. You want to go to SBA has networking events. Depending on what type of industry you in, whatever industry you are performing in, there is a governing association that provides training or certifications, like NCMA, National Contract Management Agency. I would go to those events. I was able to get certification through them. I was able to network with fellow colleagues in the industry, and you know, keep the communication open. Make sure you come with your cards. When you go to those networking events, you also want to bring your capability statement with you, because you never know how the conversation may turn. And you don't want to say, Thank you for asking for my capability statement. I don't have it on me. Always keep it on you. With your business cards, keep it on you. Go to the vendor industry days that are being done by the agency and go to pre-bid meetings. That's when the agency doesn't necessarily know what they want. So they want to get recommendations of the innovation and the streamlining from the industry. So they have they have an industry day, and anybody that's interested in bidding on that contract will show up. And they will put their name on a list, and they will tell you what it is that they want. And they will ask for documentation to show them how they could get done what it is that they need to get done. So that would be a source selection type contract where it would be a requirements type contract, and the technical would be more important than the price. So as long as you're giving them what they ask for, whatever you're asking for within reason is good, because they have inflated the budget to accommodate what it is that you're presenting that they want to buy. So always go to the pre-bid meetings. That's where you leave capability statements. That's where you can make arrangements in the room for teaming agreements, for partnerships, to support the requirement. I've seen it done.
Now, Donna, this is Sandy. I know we're in the midst of COVID-19. And so one of the things the Black Chamber discussed at their last board meeting was how they can maybe do virtual meetings where they bring in contracting officers, introduce them to the businesses, and then I guess the businesses would be able to perhaps submit their capability statements electronically. So have you heard of other ways other agencies are working through COVID-19? Because we don't see a lot of the networking events now. So how are they navigating through COVID-19 in terms of meeting new businesses and giving them an opportunity to present themselves?
That's a great question. I don't have the answers that you may be looking for, because the program that I'm supporting right now is run totally different from the other contracts that I have supported. I believe that they may be conducting it via Zoom meetings. I will do my level of research, and I'll make sure that you get that information. And if I am able to obtain any information on open solicitations where they are conducting Zoom meetings for these industry days or these pre-bid meetings, I'll certainly let you know.
Okay, thank you. That'll be helpful.
I do know that internally, the agency is using Google group meetings for staff meetings and updates on different programs. I would assume that they would be doing the same thing regarding contracts.
Okay, thank you.
That's a question that you could propose on your email when you're submitting it to the contracting officers or the program managers. I have these services that I believe that you would benefit greatly from. Can we do a Zoom meeting to discuss it further? Because they're probably not going to throw out there that they want to talk to you via Zoom, or, make the suggestion. Ask to be involved with any meetings having to do with solicitations that are going to be awarded or that are going on the street. Like everything has to be done via email, or there's something else other than Zoom, but
Like
you know what I mean.
GoToMeetings or WebEx, some of them are used.
Yes.
Yes. Now, Donna, a number of people have been asking for looking at sample capability statements. I know that's coming up in your presentation.
Okay. Oh man, my thing got all screwed up. This is an email that I received yesterday, and I'm not exactly sure why the picture part of it ended up at the top of this slide. But this is the cold call email that I received. She tells me who she is. She tells me her company designation. She's 8A and woman-owned small business, and where she's located. And she's already talking to me now in July about what's going to happen at the end of the fiscal year, being September. She's letting me know that she's a prime for 8 agencies in 15 states. And she can fill orders. You get the idea. These are her services: project and support service, training and certification service. She's even got admin and medical and pharmaceutical and biomedical support service, in addition to her IT. Oh, it was a very extensive email. I believe it took 3 slides. What is up at the top here was on the 3rd slide. So I don't understand how that ended up at the top. This is part 2. What can she do for me? She wants to be my 8A woman-owned small business partner, because everyone has socioeconomic concerns. They have stats that they have to adhere to. They have requirements that they have to do so much per year. So she's saying schedule a capability briefing with her. She's included her testimonial. I blew it up a little bit so to make it easier for you to see. But trust me, this email was 2 whole pages, font 10. These are her accolades. And she can respond in 48 hours to whatever RFQ, requesting for quote, or requesting for proposal that I send. And she wants me to give this to my colleagues in the event that there's a last minute requirement available. These are all of her certifications, her levels of contracts, and her accolades. This is the bottom. That was just crazy. So the link for the website, the link for the capability statement, and the link for her federal experience as performance document. Her contact information, her certifications down here at the bottom. She was very thorough, which is why I put this on here. That's your cold call email. Some other people are using video within their email. This one has no sound. Come on, there we go. This is what we call one of the big dogs. But you get the idea. This one does have sound. Come on. Grant Thornton. They were trying to get me on one of their projects the other day, and that's why they stayed in the front of my mind.
Okay, Donna, we're going to want to move on to examples of capability statements.
You get the idea. Actually, yes, this is the conclusion of marketing. It's a necessary component. Your marketing plan is an ever-changing guide. Be specific. Make it easy for the buyers to find you, and make it easy for buyers to purchase from you. And remember, always add value to their mission. So here are the samples. But before I go into the sample, can I get a 2-minute break?
Okay, you want to pull up your samples?
I'll pull up the sample and I'll let you look at it because I need a break for 2 minutes. I had a very large coffee.
Okay. All right. So if you pull up the sample, I think this is great that people are able to look at the sample of the capability statement. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, are there any additional questions? We do have, we got a lot of good feedback from people in the chat and the Q&A. And also people were asking about how to go after contracts. There will be another workshop on how to go after contracts. And so if we have your email, we'll make certain that we alert everybody about that workshop as well. And also, I think people are asking some questions about the whole procurement process and going after contracts. So make certain that you plan to attend that workshop. Donna is going to be sharing examples of other capability statements and the different styles and what to include on those capability statements. And also those who are connected with the PFC Coalition and PFC Black Chamber, I want to share that we are taking a cohort of 10 businesses through our small business rescue program. And a part of that program is that we are helping them to write a capability statement. We're taking them through a whole brand discovery. We are working with them on a whole redesign of their website. And they're also getting a free video design, a free promotional flyer as well. So those who are on our list or connected with the PFC Coalition or PFC Black Chamber, this is our first cohort. And if you're interested in being a part of our next cohort, we'd love to have you a part of that. But those businesses are actually getting hand-holding on actually developing their CAPE statement and making certain that they are more marketable and helping them to develop a whole digital strategy to deal with COVID-19.
That's wonderful.
Donna, you ready? Okay.
Yes. So I've already changed the page, but I'll go back to the first one. So these people are transportation specialists. And on the top, they have their contact information. On the right, their competencies are transportation consulting and freight transportation arrangements. These are their certifications, and they list their past performance underneath. They have their NAICS codes. They only have 2. They have a DUNS number, a CAGE code. This must be their certification for the state and DOT. They are reliable, they're transparent, they have integrity. They're trustworthy, efficient, effective, quality work, and they have value. They've been doing this for over 10 years. And then they have more information down at the bottom. That's one format. This is another format, and this is construction. You see all the NAICS codes on the left? They perform a lot of services. They already have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 services that they provide as far as differentiators. But they have 3, 4, 5, 15 capabilities. This one is a all services consulting firm, wide scope consulting. So they do staff augmentation, project management, program management, software development, and executive administration. And then they have the bullets on the side for their past performance. And these are the names of the solicitations that they were awarded contracts for. These are the names of the requirements. And then these are their clients.
Donna, somebody's asking about what are CAGE codes?
CAGE codes are numbers that are assigned to you by Dun & Bradstreet, and they're associated with SAM, which is now Beta SAM. And when you are awarded a contract, they will queue this CAGE code 743B9 at the bottom of this page. That's your identification in the financial system. It is associated with your DUNS number. Your DUNS number is your identification number in the system as a company. But they will queue in this CAGE code, and that's how you receive the transfers of payment through your invoice. You see under here, above that, their CAGE code number again, and they accept credit and purchase cards as well. And you'll notice under their clients, they start with DOD, being Naval Warfare Systems Command. The next one is also a Department of Defense agency. But then the third is a Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. So any type of work is past performance, as I mentioned before. You don't want to not put that on there if you have already performed for the church. It's still a contract. This is Blue Sun. This is IT. They decided to use the logos for the agencies and the companies that they have their past performance with. Baltimore County Public Schools. Katz et Bosch. I've never heard of them. Every format is different. So there is no wrong way unless your information is not on there. What sets them apart? They actually have that on here. Their people sets them apart. Their performance-based process sets them apart. Their integrated solutions team, being the dream team that's actually on the program. Their client relationship management. That means that they are family with who they are supporting. Strategic mix of technology and business. So they have the technology to do the cybersecurity. They handle SharePoint and business analytics, the business intelligence. They can do it all because of, oh, and the project management. They can do it all because of their systems. And we can help you do it all while keeping costs below budget, which is at the top under the first paragraph. We can do the technology, we can handle the business, we can do it below cost because of our people, our relationship, and our performance. Now, this is a little different because this person provides photography. She's got certifications. She's got past performance. Some of it, well, she listed in Bradley Development. Another group having to do with retail, construction, interiors, Whiting Turner, contracting. They're big here. She's got core competencies. She's got her NAICS codes. She's got her DUNS number, her federal employee identification number, and her photo. This one is mine. It's a little blurry. So now we're at the end. I believe, well, I can't say for sure, but are there any more questions?
Donna, thank you so much. I think a few may be answered in the closing remarks from the county, but I'd like to, number one, just thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry that I went over time, but it was a great pleasure to be here with you today. I'm certainly happy to be able to join you all as a member of this organization. And I wish all the business owners that are on this call great success for this coming year and the next fiscal year. And if you need me for anything, you can contact me through Sandy, because the slide went away. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Deborah Carter, and on behalf of our team in the Office of Central Services, we'd like to thank you, Donna. She's certainly a wealth of knowledge. As you heard, she's going to be rejoining us for another webinar in the near future. She's certainly, like I said, this is just the beginning in our series, and she has a lot of valuable, good content to share. I also wanted to address one quick question that came about in terms of contracts in the county. With the threshold of any contracts over 500,000, 40% are normally awarded to county-based small businesses. And if you know anything about the certification process, a large part of the county-based small businesses, and I won't give a percentage, are in fact MBEs. And with the threshold of under 500,000, 100% are awarded to county-based small businesses. I also want to acknowledge my team, the Director of Outreach, Christopher Kelly, who's been on and participating and actually sending out the evites and handling a lot of the logistics regarding the webinar series, as well as my team. We were starting with the operations manager, Carla Harvey, and then I have analysts that are really, I'm telling you, very sharp. I don't know how we would navigate through the vendor registration and the vendor certification without them. They do an outstanding job. So if you have an opportunity to reach out to them or need to reach out to them, feel free to do so. And that would be Mary Battle, also Jason Zielinski and Brian Robinson. And then we have our office manager, Elzonia Smith, who actually retrieves a lot of your inquiries and your questions that come through the main line. So thank you, Donna. Again, we look forward to having you back. Thank you, Sandy and Jerry with People for Change and PFC Black Chamber. I wish we had more time to expand upon a lot of the additional information and questions that you all have, but stay tuned. Like I said, this is only the fourth webinar in this series. So good luck, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.